Available on DVD from Indiepix and streaming on the Indiepix Unlimited Amazon Prime channel is the 2017 Israeli horror film Family, directed by Veronica Kedar. This is, I'm not totally up on Israeli films, so it's a film I'd never heard of, and I popped it in not really knowing anything about it, and wow, this is really good. This is, technically I would call it a horror film, psychological thriller, heavy drama. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but I will tell you this. It's 104 minutes long. This is a film. It opens up with, and it's one of those things where sometimes if you're just like a normal American moviegoer, you hear that a film comes from another country and you're like, I'm not going to be able to get into this. It's going to be such a weird culture I can't come to terms with. I can't understand. The only difference between this being an Israeli film and this being an American film is that it is subtitled because they speak Hebrew. It feels, there is nothing culturally in there that you're not going to understand unless you don't like reading subtitles. And even then, this is not a terribly dialogue heavy film. Film opens with a young woman arriving at the door of her therapist. Therapist isn't home. The very unwelcoming and surly daughter of said therapist is there. And this girl says, I just need to talk to her. She's not here. Go away. What's wrong with you? What's your problem? Can I leave her a note? Blah, blah, blah. The daughter, surly daughter, then snatches the note and reads it. And basically, I don't want to give much away about this. The movie kind of does up front, but I'm not going to be the guy to tell you. The basic story here is this young woman is the only person left from her family. Mother, father, brother, sister in this family, aside from this young woman, are no longer with us. She feels that she bears responsibility for the nature of the demise of her family members. And through flashback, we learn what happened to everybody. The basic, I'm going to keep saying the basic. The idea here is that this was a very dysfunctional family. Very bad things happen in this family to varying degrees of mental illness and abuse and neglect and weird stuff like that. And we see that unfurl over time. We get flashbacks to when this protagonist was a young girl. We get flashbacks to very recent, earlier that day, earlier that week. Very well shot. I want to say incredibly well shot. It's not like bizarre phantasmagorical visuals. It just looks really good. And a lot of times, I know I'm guilty of this in the past, where you think foreign cinema might not look as good as a Hollywood movie. Bogosity in that notion. Foreign cinema can look as good as, if not better, than Hollywood cinema. It's just us here are always just used to what the Hollywood cinema visual aesthetic looks like. This movie looks great. It's got some effects in it. Like practical visual effects, makeup effects, incredibly well done. It is ultimately a very dark, grim, sad story. It's a horror movie in that how dark and grim it is. It's not about a serial killer. It's not about a monster. It's not about a stalker. It's not about, a box that when you open, your soul gets sucked into it. It's about real world horror. It's about real down to earth human horror and what can happen with damaged people raising kids and what can happen when people aren't nurtured enough. And it's disturbing. And in the end, during the last scene, there's a really lovely last scene in this movie after all this awfulness you've witnessed. And it just left me really sad. It was like really sad at the end of the movie. So this is a really good film. This is the kind of film that I wish would get a theatrical release. We've got so many screens in this country, but it seems like they're all clogged with the same 5 blockbusters all the time. And sometimes, the AMC I go to will devote a screen or two, depending on how many screens they have, to something that is foreign or art house. That's how I see the Indian films that I love. Sometimes, and there are art house theaters, but even those tend to want to stay in business, so they'll play the occasional Batman movie or something. But it's a shame that we don't live in a film culture like we had 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, where there were so many screens and there was so much content that rolled over pre-home video, pre-cable, pre-streaming, all that, where you got so much of this stuff. Now, maybe it's just me and I'm a theater guy. This is on Indiepix Unlimited, so it's not like you can't see it. You can dial it up. You can hear enough of my yapping. You can immediately go and watch this right now, which I recommend. I don't really have much more substance to say, but it's really good. So this is available on DVD physical, which also includes the trailer, and it is in Hebrew with English subtitles, and it is on the Indiepix Unlimited streaming service. On the YouTube version of this video that you'll see, there will be a link, direct link under this too, so you can watch it that way. But I would highly recommend this. This was really good. Again, I call it a horror movie, and that might lead horror fans to think it's going to be something that it's not. I don't know that people who just want a regular foreign film, this might be a little too edgy for them, but boy, is this good. This is one that I really hope does not get forgotten. This is I'm going to say in theaters. I wish it was. This is available streaming now on Indiepix Unlimited and on DVD from Indiepix. This is The Family.